Good morning and great day to you all. It is truly my hope that you all are truly enjoying yourselves during this national crisis and not having any chaos within your homes. And if so, deal with it with patience and love.
Hey, peace and blessings, family. I just came here real quick just to let you guys know what I'm having this morning for breakfast. Actually, what I already had for breakfast. Um, it was a super simple, really amazing, very delicious. Of course, it was nutritious and vegan. Um, it was this soba buckwheat noodle miso soup. And the star of the show was the butternut squash. So, without further ado, I hope you guys hang in there and watch what I did to create this. And like always, if you don't have all those ingredients, find some other veggies in the fridge that you have. We're not shopping much, and that's intentional. I think you know because we're on quarantine, of course. I'm not necessarily one to like have to be around people if I don't really have to. So the option to order groceries is cool. But luckily enough, I have family that loves me and adores me, and I love and adore them too. And they are willing to follow the directions precisely and get what we need off the grocery list. Anyway, so not shopping weekly or bi-weekly is helping us to become a little bit more creative. And I think that's one of the great things about being in this space. I hate using that word quarantine because unless you're actually carrying the virus or you are infected, quarantine means like you're isolated from others because you are infected. We're not infected. Unless you're talking about I'm infected with love. Then I guess I am on a love quarantine. Anyways, without further ado, want you guys to think differently and also try to not get so stuck in the box on certain foods that are for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and just explore, be creative, have fun. We're at home. What other place would you rather be than to be home to like create things and mess up and then fix it, whatever, and get your family's opinion and let them help too in the kitchen. I love a good help. But anyways, I had an awesome buckwheat noodle butternut squash miso soup. I'm probably gonna make some more. I love soups, noodle soups especially. And if you guys do something like similar or different, let me know. Leave me a message. I'll read it. I read everything. All right. I love you guys. Stay well. Stay safe. Stay home. Let's go.
Healing butternut squash miso soup for breakfast or any time of the day. All right, let's jump right on in. I started with some sesame seed oil. I love using sesame seed oil not only because it has a high cooking content, like you can actually, this is one of the really great oils that can withstand a certain amount of heat, but that nutty flavor is amazing. To that, I'm adding some red onions, the whites of green onions, or not scallions, but green onions, and some ginger, and also two nice sized garlic cloves. These properties right there alone are super healing and they are immunity boosting. Always add your onions or shallots, your peppers if you have them, but the main thing is just onions, ginger, garlic. It's just amazing. To that, I'm adding a better than bouillon. It's the vegetable one, but actually you can add any bouillon, well, specifically a vegan or vegetable bouillon that you have on hand. If you don't have a vegetable bouillon on hand, what you can do is instead of using water, when I add the water, you can add your vegetable broth that you may have on hand. Otherwise, don't worry about that. You can skip that part Totally. The main event of this, like I always tell you guys, that base is just to have those onions, the ginger, the garlic, and you will always be good to go. Trust me on that one. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit and simmer for a little bit, do its thing. Remember, we don't want to burn the garlic. Garlic has a tendency to burn a little quicker than the other things. So we don't want to let that happen. So to that, I've added those white things right there. That's the daikon or daikon radish. And the star of the show, the lady herself, the queen, butternut squash. I cubed them in like 1 inch cubes somewhat. I considered doing a major chunky chop, but I just let that thought go. So I have the daikon radish in there with the butternut squash, and I'm just going to toss it in the sesame seed oil mixture with the ginger, the onions, red onions, green onions, and the garlic, and let it do its thing for a little bit. Let it go ahead and start to sizzle. And once it starts to, marry, those juices and flavors begin to marry, go ahead and add your water. I'm adding about 4 cups of spring water, but actually this part is up to you depending on how much broth you want. I wanted mine a bit brothy because I'm going to be adding some other ingredients to this too. So you're going to let that do its thing. Remember to gently try to get any of those veggies that may have, got stuck to the bottom of the pan. That's not burnt. It adds more flavor to your dish. Trust me on that. Definitely does, and it definitely will. To that, I added some white pepper. White pepper to me has a very distinct peppery flavor. It's not like bold and spicy, but it has a very nice, smooth, peppery flavor. It's used in a lot of Asian dishes. Okay, so I turned the fire down. It's like on a simmer now. My veggies did boil. You didn't see that part. And now I'm adding my pre-cooked soba buckwheat noodles. If you don't have pre-cooked soba buckwheat noodles, add whatever noodle of choice if you choose to use noodles. If you don't want to use noodles, don't use them at all. So right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding some to the soup mix. And then with that, I'm also going to add something else. My favorite green, one of my favorite. I'm not going to say that she's my favorite. She's one of my favorite. Some red Swiss chard. And my other queen, mushrooms. Those that know me know that I love mushrooms. Okay? And at this point, we don't want these things to cook or overcook. We're just going to give them a toss in the broth. And that's basically it. Now I've turned the fire completely off. You see, I have about a tablespoon and a half of the miso paste. And I'm taking the broth and I'm putting it in this bowl with the miso paste. You don't want to put the miso paste right inside of your soup because the whole point of this healing soup is that miso has live probiotics. It's probiotic goodness. It's very good for your gut. And once you put it in boiling water, it will actually kill off the healing properties, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm giving it a mixing it up because I don't want to get any lumps and clumps in there before I add it to the soup because that's another thing that can happen. And then I'm going on ahead and pouring it in. Remember, turn your stove off when you're doing this part. Oh, look how beautiful she is. This was so good for breakfast. This was the perfect breakfast for me. And as always, give it a taste. If you need to add a little salt, I wouldn't really suggest it. Well, sea salt, obviously, only because miso is high in sodium. And there she is. I topped my miso soup with some fresh, nicely thin sliced red onions, some cilantro, some green onions, some red pepper flakes, and a nice wedge of lime, of course, to squeeze all over this goodness. I hope you guys try it and enjoy it. Stay well.